Well, don't worry. The United States southern border is secure and nothing to see here, according to Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. Listen.
Tell us what the situation is on the border now, because in May, there were fears that we were going to be overwhelmed. What is happening?
So we have dispelled those fears through a very thoughtful, comprehensive approach to irregular migration to our southern border.
But the facts don't bear that out. In fact, in just June alone, border incursions were up a whopping 186% from last year, with a total of 144,000 plus southern border encounters in June alone. But don't worry, nothing to see here. And now we're learning that Chinese illegal aliens are handed documents before they illegally cross the U.S. border, which shows a blueprint of how to navigate illegally through the United States. Reporter Anthony Rubin broke the story at muckraker.com, and he joins us now. Anthony, great work on this, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is a remarkable story. So how did you learn about these documents that are being handed to these illegal immigrants as they come across the border?
Yeah, so the document that I exposed in particular, so first of all, I mean, they're getting a lot of different documents, but the one that we're talking about in this particular show right now is a document that I was sent by a Chinese illegal alien. And what it is it's a document that I believe to have been written by another Chinese illegal alien. If you read the document, it's on muckraker.com. You guys can go check it out. It was originally written in Chinese. I had it translated to English, and then the intro, it mentions a woman named Ivy. It has her her WeChat contacts listed on the top, which I have redacted and took out just for safety purposes. But she wrote this whole document. It explains how to get from South America all the way to the U.S. border, how much to pay smugglers and various other things. Very, very detailed. And then I would say probably 75% of the document, maybe about 150 pages, talks about how to exploit the U.S. asylum system and U.S. asylum law. And so this document was sent to me by a Chinese illegal alien who I met in the Darion Gap, who's now living here in Los Angeles. And he told me that it's circulated among Chinese in various WeChat groups that they use to communicate when they're on the way up to the U.S.
And can you describe the type of people that are being handed these documents? We've heard reporting that they are military-age men, mostly, who are coming through the Darion Gap on their way to the United States southern border. Can you describe the individuals who'd be handed these documents in order to illegally navigate the system?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the Chinese in particular, yeah. So down in the Darion Gap, like you just said, a lot of these people are military-aged men. So, the audience can infer what that's all about. I mean, just some anecdotal evidence would be there's reports down there of some of these men after they've crossed through the gap and they get to one of the first camps. There's a hotel. You call it a hotel. It's like a 1-star, 5-star hotel for the Darion Gap. And in one of these hotels, it's right next to one of these migrant refugee centers. There are reports of them going to this hotel, buying a chicken, slicing open its throat, and drinking the chicken blood, which is a ritual of the People's Liberation Army. That's been documented down there. So, that's some anecdotal evidence that these people coming over here are definitely Chinese Special Forces or People's Liberation Army or, whatever branch of the armed forces.
It's unbelievable. And I think some of our audience will be watching saying, no, this is xenophobia. This is, that's exactly what it is. And I've seen it in our comments when we've covered this story before. People would say, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that there's an intentional invasion of the United States. I find it so hard to believe. What do you say to those people? You're watching it happen in Panama.
Oh, yeah. I'll shatter that right now. You don't have to listen to me. Don't listen to me at all. I'm going to point you to a UN document. You could read their papers. And if you don't believe that, then I don't know what to tell you. You could go look up, everybody watching this could go look up the paper, Migration and the 2030 Agenda. That's written by the IOM, the International Organization of Migration, which is the migration arm of the United Nations. And it says in there, it calls these quote unquote migrants, which we can get to that in a second. That word, there's a misuse of that word going on, but we can get to that in a second. But it calls these migrants agents of development. And it says that the goal of migration in the 2030 Agenda in this blueprint, it says that the goal is to facilitate, not to stop migration. So, it says it right there, and you can read the whole document. It gets even worse. You could read the replacement migration document that was put out in, I believe, the year 2000. also by the UN, where it talks about different case scenarios for different countries, including the United States. And I believe for the United States, there's 5 case scenarios that it lays out. And one of them, there's almost 1 billion people that they show migrating into the US. It's absolutely insane. You guys can read these documents from the UN if you don't believe myself or Clayton.
Yeah, no, great point. Great point. So it's not hyperbole. You're watching these individuals, you're speaking to them, you're seeing these documents. And can you dive more deeply in, we just touched a little bit on what these documents actually say, and how, can you point more specifically what sort of blueprint this is for these immigrants that are coming across the border? And also, you said that word immigrants being used in a wrong way. Can you explain what you mean there?
Absolutely. So the word migrant is being used in the wrong way.
Migrant,
and this started coming, I mean, the word migrant has been used for a while, but now apparently, people that all these millions of people, 6 million people since Joe Biden has been president, have crossed into the United States illegally through the southern border. And we call these people migrants. That's not a migrant. What is the definition of migration? It's like a seasonal thing, right? Like a migratory animal will go to a certain place, to some watering hole, or just to feed on some, on something for a part of the year, and then they'll go back to where it came from. These people aren't going back. These people are illegally immigrating into the United States, and they're here to stay. So we need to call it as is. We need to say the word illegal immigrant. That's what it is. That doesn't dehumanize these people. That's just calling out the crime that's committed when you don't come through a port of entry into the United States.
Would you say that this is a national security threat to the United States?
I think that goes without saying. One of the things that people need to stop doing when it comes to this issue is trying to qualify their statements. I see people in discussion groups and on Twitter, and yesterday I was in a Twitter space, and people are trying to qualify their statement, and they're saying why this is a problem and why they're not a racist, because they're talking about you don't need to even discuss that. I mean, you see it with your own eyes what's going on. You see these hundreds of thousands of people pouring in here every month. It's an invasion. I mean, it fits the definition of an invasion, so you need to call it out as it is and be very appropriate with your, not let the devil take your tongue, because that's what's going on here. People don't want to talk about it because they're worried about being labeled a racist or a xenophobe or whatever. And then even then they won't call it as it is. They won't say it's illegal immigration. So it is a national security threat. You have to say that outright. 80,000 Chinese nationals have crossed into the United States over the last 2 or 3 years. Out of that 80,000, listen, you only need a few of them to go take out a power station or blow up a warehouse or do a number of other things, or just go steal critical intelligence. Hey, go get a job at X, Y, and Z, send us intelligence from there, or, wait for the command and start sabotaging the place. One thing I will say, and this is also interesting, and you guys could go see this on muckraker.com in one of the videos I put out, is I interviewed a Chinese illegal alien that I met in the Darion Gap who is now living in the United States. And I talked to him, and he told me that it's known within their circles that the CCP police are here in the United States. And if you speak out against them, they will show up at your house and threaten you with arrest. And if they arrest you, they'll kidnap you back to China. So, and this was told to me by a Chinese illegal alien that's here now, and they know this in their circles. So even if some of these people are coming over here and they're good people, they don't want to commit any sort of acts of sabotage or whatever, if the CCP police somehow find them and say, hey, you know what? I mean, your uncle such and such is going to be in trouble unless you do X, Y, and Z. There you go. That's the national security threat. But yeah, this is all about Agenda 2030. This is all about dissolving the sovereignty of the United States and changing our republic as we know it. That's what this is.
When you hear Secretary Mayorkas saying that the Biden administration has a, quote, very thoughtful, comprehensive approach to irregular migration to our southern border, end quote, I mean, what exactly does he mean?
It's a joke. And this is what I'm saying about it's kind of in the same vein as qualifying statements. It's like they say these things and then we debate, well, is it true? What does he mean by that? No, it's a joke. It's propaganda. It's like Soviet Union Pravda level propaganda. I mean, there's nothing to that. Again, all you got to do, anybody watching this, honestly, everybody watching this, if you're interested, just take a trip to the southern border. That's how I got started doing this. Just go show up. Go to McAllen, Texas. Go to El Paso. Just drive along the border. You'll see it happening very easily. Go talk to a Border Patrol agent and go say, hey, just tell them you're a journalist. They don't know the difference. You don't need a special credential or anything. And say, hey, I'm a journalist. I want to go find some crossers. I want to see some action. Can you tell me where to go? They'll tell you exactly where to go. Go to Yuma, Arizona. Another one. You just wait there. And you'll see it happening. And then you will see very quickly that this is a propagandist lie.
Are you seeing other national media there? It seems like they kind of come in waves and then they disappear. in June, we had a record number of people coming across the border. I didn't hear any mainstream media coverage of it. When you're down there, do you see a lot of reporters from mainstream media organizations covering the story?
No, I don't actually. I would say I know there's the one gentleman. I think his name is Bill Mallusion from Fox News. He's a mainstream guy. Other than that, it seems to be mostly independent people showing up down there. I've seen the Epoch Times down there. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, that's just on the southern border. If we were to go further into the Darion Gap, I think it's a handful of people that have been covering that. And I would say you have to understand that to understand what's going on here, because these people aren't just spawning at the southern border and crossing over. The Darion Gap is, kind of the beachhead of this whole invasion.
And I'll get you out of here on this. If you could explain to our audience the Darion Gap. We've covered it extensively here on the show, but I'd love to hear your take on it. And it seems like a number of international organizations have set up what you want to call them camps. You want to call them sort of waypoints. You want to call them, I don't know, hospitals, service centers right there in the Darion Gap with buses and nonstop bus routes right to the United States border and handing them medical kits and handing young girls, pregnancy kits and all sorts of things. When you're there, who are you seeing? Where are these people coming from, and how exactly are they getting to the United States?
Yeah, I mean, so in short, what the deal is down there is you have the entire world, over 100 different countries flying to South America. They're flying to Quito, Ecuador, because over there it's very easy entry requirements. Anybody can get into Quito, Ecuador. Then they illegally cross into Colombia. And by the way, this is all written in that translated Chinese document if you want to read it, if your audience wants to.
So this is part of the blueprint. This is detailed in the blueprint. Yeah.
This is detailed in the blueprint. And all these people somehow know from 100 different countries know exactly what to do. So, I mean, there's a Chinese blueprint. I'm sure there's blueprints written in every language that people have put together and sent through these groups. I mean, you could find these smuggling groups on Facebook and whatnot. It's very easy to find, but we're not going to get into that. So anyway, what happens is the whole world is flying into Quito, Ecuador. Then they cross illegally into Colombia. And then they trek through the Darion Gap, which connects North and South America, a very thin strip of land. And that's lawless jungle. And I'm here, so we'll shatter a myth right now, the idea that this is some sort of humanitarian operation. Before these people go through the jungle, they're handed by the IOM, the International Organization of Migration, the migration arm of the UN, like we mentioned. They're handed what I would call a rape kit. I'm not sure what they call them, but these kits have male and female condoms, day after pills, and I believe whistles. And they're given these kits, and they're told, hey, if you're raped in the jungle, at least you got this kit. They're pawns, is what they're using them as pawns. They just want to send them over here in numbers. If some of them get taken out or raped in the process, they don't care. So there you go. We've just shattered a myth that this is about humanitarianism. But then they cross into Panama, and then once they get into Panama and they make it through the jungle, they're greeted by the UN and associated international agencies such as the Red Cross, the Norwegian Refugee Council, Doctors Without Borders, and a number of others. And they're actually given, for example, maps. I have right in front of me a map from the Red Cross that details the whole route to get from Panama to the U.S. border. I mean, multiple different routes and multiple different entry points. And it has about 200 different stops that are friendly to illegal immigrants where you can stop and charge your phone and get food. And then they're also given, various aid packages and sent on their merry way to the United States. And that's what's going on. And it's a whole staging point, basically, where they can recuperate, get instructions and materials to then ultimately make their way all the way up to the U.S. border.
Unbelievable. Remarkable story, Anthony. I encourage our audience, we'll have it linked up, to go over to muckraker.com, read the reporting from Anthony and the team over there. This is really stunning. Has the Biden administration commented at all about these blueprints?
That'd be pretty cool. No, they have not.
Well, President Biden's on the beach for 10 days. So, and I think that's, where the priorities are right now for the next 10 days. Anthony, thank you so much. Thanks for the great reporting on this. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I would encourage, if anyone, I see most people agree with this and say, yeah, this all makes sense. I saw one or two people in the chat while Anthony was talking there saying this, BS. What part? Like the fact that this is actually happening, 186% increase over the past month, or BS that this is actually happening in terms of a blueprint that they're being handed. Go read the report, look at the documents yourself, and read what the United Nations has to say about it. So love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments below.
All right. Well, we have more news to get you. We're going to get to you.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
You can go ahead with that.
No, I wouldn't tell him.
The words are not flowing.
Yeah, so Kenya, of course, is now coming forward saying, hey, we're going to send thousands of people, thousands of helpful police officers to Haiti to assist with Biden's invasion of Haiti. The United States have been trying to find sort of a puppet government who would step in and send a military force to Haiti, because the United States doesn't really want to do it. They just want to facilitate the invasion in order to pilfer their resources and turn it into basically a de facto garrison state for the United States, where we can go in and take bauxite and all the other minerals that Haiti has. Sound familiar? So now Kenya is stepping in. I guess they want to get their hands on some stuff too. So we will cover that story in a moment. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.